Newtown.
Newtown, and I went on the scavenger hunt, and you can build some stuff. You have to try and beat the score out of turf, building it up, and it's great.
Yeah, maybe later on. I won't know till later.
Swear my feet stuck to the ground. Nobody ever did the you before. I said, oh, Mary Lou. Goodbye, heart. Sweet Mary Lou, I'm so in love with you. I knew Mary Lou we'd never part. So hold on, Mary Lou. Goodbye, heart. I saw your lips, I heard your voice. Before me, I just had no choice. But horses couldn't make me stay away. What about a moonlit night? Arms around me, good and tight. That's all I had to see for me to say. I said, oh, baby.
The summer wind came blowing in from across the sea. It lingered there to touch your hair and walk with me. All summer long we sang a song, and then we strolled that golden sand. Two sweethearts and the summer wind, like painted kites, those days and nights, they went flying by. The world was new beneath a blue umbrella sky. Then softer than a piper man, one day it called to you. I lost you to the summer wind. The autumn wind and the winter winds, they have come and gone. And still the days, those lonely days, they go on and on. Guess who saw his
Sleep beside me. Each night is dark and days, that's right. Before you keep me on your side, you do. But it sure seems warmer than it did, sleeping in my king-size bed. Is anybody going to San Antonio or Phoenix, Arizona? Any place is alright as long as I can forget I've ever known her. Any place is alright as long as I can forget I've ever known her.
Hush and listen, and his cheeks were all aglow. I bear orders from the captain, get you ready quick and soon. For the pikes must be together at the rising of the moon. At the rising of the moon, at the rising of the moon. For the pikes must be together at the rising of the moon. And come tell me, Sean O'Farrell, where the gathering is to be. At the old spot by the river, quite well known.
At the rising of the moon. At the rising of the moon.
Arms to ground!
I was married.
Steady out, spot by the river, right well known to you and me. And to every foe and traitor that hums a marching tune. For the pikes must be together by the rising of the moon. By the rising of the moon, by the rising of the moon. For the pikes must be together by the rising of the moon. Up. Right?
Yeah, go ahead. All right. Pikemen, raise! Pikes to arms! Hey, march! Left! 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 Left!
They're all respected, right?
On your left! Right hand! Ready! Right left! Right back! Left clear! Left face! Ground pikes! Stand at ease!
Good evening, everybody. You're very welcome to Newtown. First things first, we have 30 visitors from Wexford, and in 1798 we know that we had visitors from Wexford as well. They came up here and took part in the Battle of Ovistown, and for the first time in 217 years they're back. So first things first, a huge welcome for our travelling rebels. Very short speech, thanks to everybody, and we hand you over to an evening of entertainment. This is the night before the battle. This is our interpretation of what we think might have happened. Enjoy yourselves, and after this, there's live music then in the hideout.
My name is Peg Murphy from Newtown Village at the foot of Overstown Hill in the year of our Lord, 19th of June, 1798. A name and a date that will forever haunt me for as long as I live, for that is the date when my beautiful croppy boy was killed. On the night before the battle, the banshee wailed through trees with leaves that hung like tears. I was tossing and turning, and from my bed I fell on my knees, pleading with God through this dark night to give me some ease. I am a mother, like any other. My stomach was tight. My croppy boy was in the hawthorn ditch in the middle of the night with other rebels searching for his pike. I awoke at dawn. The robins were singing a lament. I must stay strong. I pulled back the bolt of my ramshackle shack. My hand hesitated, for deep within my heart I knew my croppy boy would not be coming back.
Well now, to gather a fern seed and to get the good of it, you must gather it on Midsummer's Eve, at the right time, at the right moment, in the right place. Now Errol Gerald Fitzgerald, the Wizard Earl of Kildare, went to the hill of Allen to gather fern seed, for it was said that if you gathered the fern seed at the right time, at the right place, at the right moment, you would go unseen to mortal eyes. And why he decided to do this, well, that was his business. But it was said that when you went to do this, you must not carry any steel upon you. So he had no sword nor weapons. He went to the hill on his great white steed, and there he gathered the fern seed. He rose it above his head and said these words, "O fern seed that I hold on high, let me go unseen to mortal eyes." But just as he was finished the last word, heads popped up from every bush and rock on the hilltop. The village folk had heard of what he was going to do, and they had followed him. And he was furious, for to be seen by mortal eyes doing such a thing would surely destroy the enchantments. And if he had a sword on him, he would have sliced off heads in all directions. But instead, he stood back, lowered his head and muttered some strange words, and before their eyes the Wizard Earl turned into a great elk. The people ran in all directions, screaming and shouting, "Oh, we're done for! Autism himself, the devil himself," they said. Well, as soon as they were gone, he climbed upon his great horse and rode back to Maynooth Castle. Well, he went up to a secret room he had in a tower where he kept his books on magic. He lit a mighty magical lamp that he had that sent a strange green glow to the land. It was because of this strange green glow that attracted the people to his magical doings. And as he was reading a book, there was a knock on the door. He answered the door, and there was his young countess, his wife. She says, "Gerald, what are you doing? You're always spending your time here reading those strange books, and you never spend any time with me at all." She says, "Why don't you take me up on top of the castle and show me the night stars?" And he says, "I will, my dear." He put out the lamp and closed the door and went with her up the stairs to the top of the castle. And behind them, they were followed by Corgan the monkey, a monkey they kept in the castle, for it was seen to be good luck. For many, many years before that, the young Earl was trapped inside a burning room, and the monkey they had kept as a pet had saved the Earl, so therefore they had kept one ever since. Well, they looked at the stars, and he pointed out the constellations: Cassiopeia, Orion's belt; Sagittarius, Capricorn; Scorpio, Gemini, the Big Dipper. Well, she was very impressed by this. But then she looked at her Earl and said, "Gerald, you know something? I know you in only one form, but I hear you can turn into many." He says, "How do you know of this?" She says, "Oh, the people, the village folk talk about you and you terrify them terribly." He says, "I wish I could scare them all to death." "Ah, don't be like that now, Gerald," she says. "Will you show us one of these forms you can turn into?" He says, "I can only turn to 3 forms, he says. "Oh, go on, show us one," she says. "Oh, if I turn into another form," he says to her, if someone I love will be frightened, I shall disappear. Where will you disappear to, she says. I shall go to the fairy mounds, only to return when the time is right. Well, she says, it doesn't matter, Gerald, whatever form you turn into, I swear I will not be frightened, because I know it will be you. Well, he bowed his head and he muttered some strange words, and there before her eyes he turned into a great elf. She was a little bit frightened, but didn't let on. And then he stood back and turned into his own form again, and muttered some more words, and turned into a wild mountain cat with fierce staring eyes. Her heart pounded, but she didn't let on. And then he stood back and he said, now I shall turn into a form that I know you will not be afraid of. And with that he turned into a little boy, a little baby boy, a wee babbo, just up to her knee. Well, she had no children of her own, and when she saw this small child, she says, Gerald, please stay in this form just for a little while, she says. And she lifted the baby into her arms and was about to sit down on a bit of straw like this and sing to the child, oh dilly oh dowsa 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 dilly oh dowsa day. But just as she laid the child down on the straw, Horgan the monkey jumped from the shadows and grabbed the child and jumped from the castle. Well, the Countess screamed with terror when she saw what had happened, and as she done so, she could hear the sound of the voice of her Earl disappear as he went deep into the fairy mounds. I loved you in the morning, your kisses deep and warm, your hair on the pillow like a sleepy golden storm. Many have come before us, I know that we're not new. City and in forest smile like me and you, but now it's come to distances and both of us must try. Your eyes are soft with sorrow and hate. That's no way to say goodbye, goodbye. I'm not looking for another as I wander in my time. Walk me to the footsteps, our steps will always rhyme. Your love stays with me as my love stays with you. It's just the way it changes like the shoreline and the sea. But let's not talk of love and chains, things we can't untie. Your eyes are soft with sorrow and hate. That's no way to say goodbye, goodbye.
We're nothing but a colony, a land full of slaves to 1798. We need rebels, we need soldiers.
France's son, can't you see that this is our only chance left? The only chance we have left to free Ireland.
There was one morning in July, I was walking through Tipperary, when I heard a battle cry from the mountains overhead. And I looked up to the sky and saw an Irish soldier laddie, and he looked at me quite fearlessly and said, will you stand in the band like a true Irishman? We're going to fight the forces of the crown. Will you stand with O'Neill in the Irish battlefield? For tonight we're going to free old Wexford town. Said I to that soldier lad, will you take me to your captain? It would be my pride and joy for to march with you today. My young brother fell at Cork, and my son in Enniscorthy, and unto the noble captain I did say, I will stand in the band like a true Irishman. I'll go and fight the forces of the crown. I will stand with O'Neill in an Irish battlefield, for tonight we're going to free old Wexford town. As we march back from the field in the shadow of the evening, with our banners hanging low to the memory of our dead, we returned unto our homes, muttered out my soldier laddie, but I never will forget those words he said. Well, you stand in the band like a true Irishman. We're going to fight the forces of the crowd. Well, you stand with O'Neill in an Irish battlefield, for tonight we're going to free old Wexford town. Well, you stand in the band like a true Irishman. We're going to fight the forces of the crowd. Well, you march with O'Neill in an Irish battlefield, for tonight we're going to free old Wexford town.
From his brimstone bed at the break of day, a walking the devil has gone to visit his snug little farm, the earth, and see how his stock goes on. And over the hill and over the dale he walked across the plain, and backwards and forwards he switched his long tail as a gentleman switches his cane. Well, it was Halloween night, they say, and Tom Connolly of Castletown House, he was out running with his merry men, chasing some class of a fox. And it was all going very well. There they were jumping over hedges and ditches and shooks and all the rest of it, hooping and a-hollering. When all of a sudden out of the mist came a strange man, dressed in a little red vest and breeches blue. And he rode upon a great black horse. He rode up beside Tom Connolly and he says, "How are you doing?" Tom says, "Who are you?" He says, "I hope you don't mind if I join in with your hunt." And Tom says, "You look to be a man who knows what he's at, sure, why not?" Well, it was great. They ran and they jumped across the lands, and it wasn't long before this stranger ran down the fox and caught him. Well, Tom was so pleased he invited this man back to Castletown House. Oh, there was great revelry all together, you know. And they were playing cards and having a great crack all together. Well, now, let me tell you. It was all going very well, you know, and the game of cards was going quite well too. But Tom kept noticing that this stranger, he seemed to be doing very well. He's wondering, like, maybe this boy, was hiding a few cards underneath the table. So he took the opportunity to drop something on the ground and take a look underneath the table. And when he looked down, instead of human feet, he saw the stranger had cloven hooves. He jumped up and he says, "'Tis himself, we're doomed!"
"Who is it?"
"The Black Earl of Hell, Old Nick the Devil himself."
"How is he dressed?"
"He's dressed in his Sunday best, a little red vest and breeches blue, with a little hole where his tail sticks through."
"What's he doing?"
"He's there he is, he's strangling Laura there. Oh, look at the bin at the stable." Laughing to himself because it puts my mind of Cain and his brother Abel. Well, Tom, he says, "There's only one thing for us. If that boy gets his hands on us, our souls will be roasted on the flagstones of hell for all eternity, playing old songs we all know the devil loves to dance."
From my home I started up, the girls are doing the belly broken down. Look the father there, kiss me darling mother, drive the bride of every grief, but there's the of the reap of glory, where I was born, but it's down like corn about the shore. Ran to where I broke the rattle or the dust, frightened all the dogs on the rocky road, the devil and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there and turn around the rocky road, all the way to the Wexford Hallelujah.
And the devil danced high and the devil danced low. He danced up in the sky and the ground below. He danced to the east and he danced to the west, and it was plain to see the devil was very well dressed. But the babe could not keep playing. Oh no, the fingers were falling off. So what could they do? What could they do? Well, the devil walked towards them with his hands outstretched, leering like a hungry wolf. But then they were saved. when there was a loud clatter at the door. And who was it? Only General George Ward and his men. And he pointed at the devil and he says, "Deserter! Get back where you belong." Well, when the devil saw General George Ward, he turned on his hoof and went flying out the door, leaving a trail of brimstone behind him, with the redcoats chasing him over the hills.
Some say the devil is dead, the devil is dead, the devil is dead. Some say the devil is dead, hurry, ding-a-lar-ding. Horse day rose again, horse day rose again, horse day rose again. The join the British Army. Be the pigs of the cows, the cows, the cows, be the pigs of the cows. Early in the morning, body there, I took you here, body there, I'm over here, body took you under there. It's early in the morning. The devil is dead, the devil is dead, the devil is dead. As I say, the devil is dead. Very big galardy. Horse day rose again, horse day rose again, horse day rose again. The train of British Army.
I made him read this song. Come on, Newtown! You got that in
Ladies and gentlemen, hey! Wasn't it a great day? Order! Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you all on behalf of, I suppose, myself, the committee, the people of Newtown. I have a feeling that we captured the spirit of Newtown today. And if we had to go to battle tomorrow, we'd win! But we don't have to.
The ultimate priest with a hangover. You battle with that.
We'll be back here in our own time, in our own way. I'd just like to, on behalf of the people of Newtown, to thank these young people who came out to share their wonderful expression of Irish music. And I do hope that we can rely on them in times to come, you know, because music is part of the soul and it's part of something that, you know, we need. It's a healing. It's a healing. Music is a healing. It's a healing. It's a healing. So, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the day, and I hope nobody got too wet. Sorry. Right. I just, before we go, I'd just like to say thank you to our friends from Wexford. Yes. I must say, back in back in 1988, I had the pleasure of spending some time working in County Wexford, and I didn't know any people there, but I just got this overpowering feeling of, you know, the presence and the respect of the people of 98, you know, and you know, that is something that we latch into, and you know, I feel that, you know, Overstown is part of 98 as well, and that in years to come, like, we will remember, you know, the great efforts of people who went out, you know, to give their lives, that we could have a better life today. Come on, Leo. Yeah. Thank you all very much.
hospitality. We thank you all. We've never had such good hospitality. We've been treated like kings and queens. Best crown we've ever had. And thanks very much.
Why now we're going to say that Tommy sang this evening, right? One of the best of fire for this now. Why now?
The struggle is over, the boys were defeated. Ireland surrounded with sadness and gloom. We were defeated and shamefully treated. I, Robert Emmet, awaiting my doom. Hung, drawn and quartered, sure that was my sentence. Soon I will show them no coward am I. My crime was the love of the land I was born. A hero I'll live and a hero I'll die. Old Robert Emmet, the darling of Ireland. Old Robert Emmet will die with a smile. Farewell, companions, both loyal and daring. I lay down my life for the Emerald Isle. A ship lay at anchor, awaiting to take me over the waves to the land of the free. But I must see my sweetheart, for I know she will cheer me, and with her I'll sail far over the sea. But I got arrested and cast into prison, tried as a traitor, a rebel, a spy. But no man can call me a knave or a coward. Hero I'll live and a hero I'll die. Oh, Robert Emmet, the darling of Ireland. Oh, Robert Emmet will die with a smile. Farewell, companions, both loyal and daring. Lay down my life for the Emerald Isle. I hear the bell tolling, I well know its meaning. My poor heart tells me it is my death knell. In come the clergy, the warden is leading. I have no friends here to bid me farewell. So goodbye, old Ireland, my parents, my sweetheart, companions in arms, to forget you must try. I'm proud of the honour, it was only my duty. For a hero I'll live and a hero I'll die. Oh, Robert Emmet, the darling of Ireland. Oh, Robert Emmet will die with a smile. Farewell, companions, both loyal and daring. Lay down my life for the
when Ireland's fields were green. The neighbours say her waking 'twas the finest ever seen. There were snowdrops and the primroses piled high beside her bed, and Helen's church was crowded when the guild mass was said. But here was I on Broadway, a building bricks my load, when they carried out her coffin down the old bog road. Now there was a decent girl back home, she used to walk with me. Her eyes were soft and sorrowful, like the moonbeams on the sea. Her name was Mary Dwyer, but that was long ago. I knelt here, I left her, I know. She died here, I left her, with building bricks by load. And we'd best forget the times we met down the old road. Now life's a weary puzzle, past finding out my man, and I'll take it in for what it was, and I'll do the best I can. Since no one cares a rush for me, no need to make a moan, I'll go my way and draw my pay and smoke my pipe alone. Each human heart must know its grief, the bitter days alone, and God they wait you Ireland and the old bog road.
Down on my street, a decent woman should. The rogue followed after me, the rogue and you he would. A bad rogue alone, rogue of my degree. And listen till I tell you what the rogue did to me. As I went into my house, a decent woman should. The rogue followed after me, the rogue and you he would. A bad rogue alone, a rogue of high degree. And listen till I tell you what the rogue did to me. As I went up my stairs as a decent woman should, the rogue followed after me, the rogue I knew. A bad rogue alone, a rogue of high degree. And listen till I tell you what the rogue did to me. Your song is showing saw me through my darkest days when all hope had gone. You're still the only one I'll ever hold near.
How much cure is there? Yeah, stand up there. DC, you start off.
Last night as I lay dreaming
of the heaven days from mine. Behind been bent and roused to Ireland wide and wide. I stepped on board a vision and I followed the wind. I went into an alehouse I used to frequent, and I told the landlady me money was spent. I asked her for credit, she answered me nay. Sure, a custom as yours I could have any day, and it's no